This is the Top Crypto Podcast,
Episode 4. This is the Top Crypto Podcast, where cryptocurrency founders share with our users the path that they've taken to get to where they are today.
Each episode features in-depth project details, personal interactions with a core team member, behind-the-scenes info, and sometimes even blockbuster announcements.
Our show aims to shed light on lesser-known cryptocurrency projects to provide our listeners the need-to-know information about buying their tokens.
I'm Jerry.
And I'm Tyler, and here's today's episode.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Top Crypto Podcast. This is Tyler Larson here with my co-host, Jerry Stark, and our guest for the day, Uni, who is here with us from Blue Protocol. Blue Protocol is a family of developer tools, consumer software, and guidelines for the development of digital assets on the Ethereum network. Existing cryptocurrency infrastructures rely heavily on the storage of private keys, passwords to authenticate and the transfer of funds, and the users themselves. Obviously, this is easily phished, lost, and stolen, and it's led to, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of lost value. The Blue Protocol solves this problem once and for all. Their flagship product is actually the Blue Wallet. This wallet is a multi-platform application that allows for sending, receiving, and the storing of Ethereum-based assets such as ERC20 tokens and beyond. By building this wallet, the team is actually able to integrate security protocol, including decentralized two-factor authentication, deep integration with dapps, and a world-class user experience that they truly believe will set the standard for the industry. Uni, thank you very much for coming on the show today, man. We're very happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to join you guys.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with the project?
Sure. So I founded the project last October. So before that, I was working at Visa, doing banking software, payment systems, security, authentication systems for their, they do white label banking for their issuers, as anybody that gives out a Visa card, basically. So okay. I spent time in that world working with fiat money, working with payments, and then I realized that really the future of payments is cryptocurrency, because we're able to remove the middleman and say, we don't need a trusted authority to hold our money and tell us when we can spend it and how we can spend it, because we can actually do this with a proof of work algorithm. And that extends to digital assets as well. I mean, whether that's in-game currency or representative notes, anything that you might need trust for, you can use the Ethereum chain for, because we can actually tokenize assets. So as soon as I realized that, I started the project back in October. To me, it was kind of something where every time I would see a new tokenized asset, I would also see someone at least trying to steal it or trying to dump the market or trying to trick someone into putting in their private key. So it's kind of like the banking system kind of sucks, on the one hand, and they're charging us outrageous fees, but they also prevent fraud and they prevent scams. Yeah. And that to me is what was missing in crypto. So I said, let's solve that problem and let's do it in a decentralized way.
Okay. So I'm just going to dive into a couple questions that we wanted to ask you. So you previously touched upon when you thought of the project and all, but did you start this project by yourself, or did you have a partner to go in on it with you, or did you kind of find people that had the same idea? And if you did, where did you find them?
Yeah, so originally it was just me. That did not last very long, because as soon as I announced this, there was just swarms of people that were interested in helping. I took this to my friend Alex. We were anonymous for a long time. He went by Mr. Franklin and I went by Uni. My real name's Jameson, by the way. We're not anonymous anymore.
Okay. That makes more sense.
That's what we thought, but yeah.
Everybody still calls me Uni. So I started it with Alex, and then I brought in another partner pretty soon after. So Alex is kind of a design guy, and he's very focused on making things easy to use. And then Occam is a systems engineer, a very large e-commerce company. So he came in pretty early as well. So it was really the three of us to kick things off. And then probably within like a month of really starting, we had several thousand community members, and we were able to kind of leverage a lot of those people's skills, and they would either volunteer or join the team in an official capacity. So yeah, that's kind of how we got going. In the very beginning, it was just me, and it just grew kind of organically, actually.
Okay. So I remember actually looking at your project, a little while back, and it was previously called Ethereum Blue.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reasoning behind the change to, or the rebranding to Blue Protocol?
Yeah, so initially I had this idea that what we were really doing is building on top of Ethereum, and we wanted to convey security and a feeling of safety. And if you look at the Visa logo and you look at the Facebook logo, they're all blue. So we're not going to be able to color, something, a brand on the blockchain, but we can call ourselves Ethereum Blue. So we're the safety on top of Ethereum. That's kind of the way I thought about it. The problem came in where there was all these altcoin developers that were not making a real product, but what they were doing instead was trying to hijack the Ethereum brand.
I thought that too.
Yeah, so all of a sudden there's like Ethereum green, Ethereum red, and Ethereum black, and then Bitcoin red, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I started
this looks like this looks bad now.
Yeah, now this suddenly looks terrible. So I was like, all right, we need to sort of revisit this and rebrand. So we kind of just dropped Ethereum from the name for a while we were thinking about what the new brand would be. So we just called it Blue for a while. And then we finally decided, what this really is a standard. This is about like open access for any developer to come in and have improved security in their wallets. If they have a dapp, they have like, Ether Delta, for example, is a decentralized app, whether maybe they're an exchange, they can participate in this. And what that really reminds me of is like HTTP in the early days, the protocol, hypertext protocol. That's kind of how I see it. So we finally landed on Blue Protocol, which I think it delivers all the same kind of incentive of like it's security focused business, and it's also open for anyone to use.
Yeah, that makes sense. So are you partnered with any projects in the space right now, or any projects outside of the space?
Yeah, we have quite a few partners. We actually work with a couple of ICOs to do their security. So they don't want to lose list of emails. They don't want to lose KYC with data. They don't want to lose the money they raised, that kind of thing. We just partnered with a new exchange that's coming up. It's called CurrentX Exchange. Those guys are like multi-chain tokens. And then I think they're doing Neo and a couple other things. So we're helping them on the Ethereum side of things. We've been talking with Coin Exchange for a long time. That's probably about to turn into us actually integrating with their systems.
Nice.
But yeah, short answer, we have several different partners that we're working with. Coin Exchange is still we haven't settled a deal. I'm not here to announce that we're partnered, but we've been talking, and they're interested, and we're interested in working together.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, yeah, I'd just like to talk, a little bit on funding. I know that this is always a hot topic for anybody that doesn't necessarily fully understand a project that they're kind of looking into. Did you guys run an ICO yourselves? Was this privately funded, or how?
No ICO.
How did Blue Protocol form? How did you guys? I'm sorry. How did you guys go about getting your initial funding? How did you guys come to fruition?
Basically everybody on the team is already successful and in their lives, so we just self-funded it. There was no reason for us to need to go do an ICO when everybody has been earning good wages for years. Awesome. And it has savings. It's able to just invest their own money, and that protects us from government regulations, because we didn't do a token offering.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't go after someone for I guess security sales if there was no sale of the security. So we did that to protect ourselves, and also to say, we're here to build a community. We're not here to raise $30 million and then, I don't know if you guys see this horse image where it's like the product.
We did.
Paper is so beautiful. And then
oh yeah, I just saw that.
We would do it. We would like to do the inverse. We kind of start off scrappy and small, and then when things are fully formed, it's like, wow, this is a really thought out product, and it really is making a difference, and people actually want to use it.
Yeah, I mean, this is
So,
two-factor authentication. I mean, all of these things that you are trying to bring about. I mean, these are all very, very important and vital. I think that it's currently being unaddressed by a vast majority of the space. So. How long, I mean, when did you guys actually first start? You said that this is it's been bootstrapped in a sense. How long has this been going on? How long did it take you guys to actually get to where you are today, which is a working product?
So I wouldn't go as far as to say that we're done by any means, right? But I mean, I think it took like 3 or 4 months to actually launch the wallet.
Okay.
The SDK is not something that we released publicly yet because we're still working with partners who are doing tests of it. We're still doing integration testing, and we're still building out certain aspects of the system. But I think it was like 4 months in, maybe 3 months in, actually, October to January.
Okay.
I would say, we still have a lot of work to do, though. There's still a long way to actually make this stuff really get adopted by lots and lots of developers, so it really proliferates.
Awesome. I mean, 4 months is relatively quick. You guys are pretty efficient, I would say. Jerry, did you want to touch on the wallet?
Yeah, actually, now that we're kind of getting into the wallet, do you have a beta version out, or is it a full working product?
It's a full working beta.
Okay.
And all that really means is we're still adding all the things that we've talked about for so long. But the things that are there are working and tested and secure.
Important.
Right? So this term beta is kind of like how Gmail called it a beta for like 15 years. It just means that we still have further ambition.
Okay. And do you have any statistics on how many users have, like, say, downloaded this wallet or are using it, or do you have a way of tracking that?
Yeah, so it actually shows it is publicly visible on the Chrome store. I haven't looked in the past, couple of weeks, I guess, because we're heads down on the SDK, but I don't know. It was a couple of thousand when I looked like a while back. But yeah, you don't even need to ask me. You can actually look on the Chrome store. It says
that's
cool.
Cool.
We'll make sure to link that as well.
And how do you plan on getting those numbers to increase? Is there going to be some sort of marketing campaign, or do you just plan on doing it by behind the scenes partnering with, like you said, Coin Exchange, and basically having them roll it out for you?
So I can't get too far into the details, but we have a very major feature coming that is deep dapp integration. So if you've ever used MetaMask, for example, it's that service, but it's in our wallet. So if you want to send a token, you can do it from the wallet. If you want to view your balance, send Ethereum, receive whatever you want to do, you can do that in our wallet. And now you're going to be able to use any dapp out there still in the wallet. Wow. So that's a big step, and it's just being on par with them would be great, because they spent, I think, 3 years, from, well, maybe like 2 years from the creation of the project to it being like out of beta, and it's still very hard to use. On our end, we do things like automatic gas calculation. You don't need to punch in a gas figure. You don't need to understand any of that complexity. You just press the button. We figure everything out, and then it tells you a dollar amount of what you're really committing to. And with stuff like exchanges, where on MetaMask it pops up and it has some numbers and it says sign this message, whatever this is, we instead actually show what your trades are. So these confirmations are way more secure. We show the logo of the smart contract you're interacting with, so you're not being phished, and we show the actual amount. Yeah, we think so. So that's sort of like step one. That's like the feature is there. And then the next step is adding viral features, adding tabs inside the wallet so that you can click on your EtherDelta tab or your CryptoKitty tab and get like a little UI. And we think as we introduce that, these dapp developers are going to love it. They're going to want to integrate, and then they're going to start recommending us. And from there, it just grows, and there's word of mouth. That's sort of like the surface, and then there's a referral strategy that we have yet to launch that's going to be pretty big, I think.
Okay, and then One more thing I had to ask was, so right now you're working with just ERC20 tokens, correct?
Mhm.
Is there any plan in the future to be able to store, say, your Bitcoin or other projects that aren't ERC20 tokens inside the wallet so that you could just have one wallet as opposed to having a wallet for this, wallet for that? Because that
Sure.
seems to be a little bit confusing for, especially for mass adoption.
Yeah, so it's kind of a sticky question because I agree with you. They ought to be able to store whatever assets they have, at least the big ones, right? So Bitcoin and
Mm-hmm.
Litecoin and these kind of maybe Nano or some of these up and coming ones. That would be great to add. I can't make it a priority right now. It's something that we'd like to do, but our priority is more focused on the developers and chains where you can actually tokenize assets. So if there's a chain that is very popular where you can create tokens and you can create digital assets from that chain, then it's interesting to us. So that might be something like Neo. We're not going to Neo, but something like that where it actually has a platform. Right now, the only one that has adoption is Ethereum, so that's what we focus on. But
Okay.
stuff changes rapidly. If it changes in a different direction, there's some other network that is better, or at least has half as much interest. We would support that too. Now, as far as just like holding your Bitcoin in the wallet, that's sort of a nice convenience, and it's maybe something that we'll look at, but it's not a critical priority right this second.
Sure.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to actually wrap up this segment because we want to keep all of these interviews as short and sweet as possible. So everybody, when they're driving in traffic or something, they can just pop it in here. I like to call these the Fast Five. So I'm just going to go ahead and shoot these off to you. Number one, what is one cryptocurrency figure that you actually follow right now or are interested in and pay attention to on a daily basis, if there are any?
Influencers?
Yeah, sure. Or any cryptocurrency figures that you idolize, maybe, or look up to.
I don't really idolize anybody. I think Crypto Randy Marsh is pretty funny. I like him.
Uh-huh.
All the cartoon guys on Twitter are hilarious. I like those guys.
Yeah.
All right, number two, on average, how many hours of sleep are you getting a night?
8.
Wow, more than
Nice.
me. Really?
Is it supposed to be less?
Six.
Try to delegate as much as I
Good.
can.
Number three, what's one piece of software that your team uses that you guys can't live without? Do you guys work with Slack or Google Drive? Anything?
Google Drive is probably the biggest one. Maybe Discord.
Discord as well.
Yeah, those are huge for communication, screen sharing, all that stuff.
Number four, where can investors go to actually purchase this token here?
So people can get their hands on the token on Coin Exchange. That's probably the highest volume exchange right now. But we're also on IDEX. We're also on YoBit, but nobody seems to trade there. Coin Exchange is probably the best bet.
All right. And number five, any exciting upcoming announcements that you guys can share with our listeners? I know that you mentioned the metamask-esque. Is that a Chrome add-on?
Yes. So that is actually in private beta right now. There's probably about 50 people who are testing it and giving us feedback, and they had a lot of feedback. So we have a lot of stuff to do over the next 2 weeks or so. And then after that, we're looking at doing a release, shortly after.
Excellent.
So that'll be a big deal.
All right, Uni. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today, and I hope that you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks.
Of course. Take care.
Thanks.